Hello and welcome back to another video. A very peaceful video as the cattle are lying down, although it is early in the morning. But anyways, in today's video we are strip grazing the cattle, so we're moving this electric tape down a small bit because as you can see they're sort of eating the ground fairly well. They're eating it way down to the clay itself. It needs a bit of tightening there, it's very slack, but they're coming now because they know what's up. But the system we have here to move the fence is very, very handy indeed, because it's just a little handle here which we take off. I'm going to have to put the camera down a minute. So basically it's on a handle, it's on the electric wire here which is on, and when we're moving it, when it's connected to the electric wire, it gives a current through the tape. So when we're moving it, we just take the handle off, we put it down at the barbed wire, and then we just move in the stakes as so. I want to give them enough, and this needs to be moved again. I'd probably give them in line with that wooden stake there, in and around, so I'll just move that like that, and basically we just go around moving every stake, sorry about that, like so. So I'm going to put the camera down, give you a good angle so I'm not trying to hold the camera while moving the stakes in. So I'm going to put the camera down and we'll get on with it. And the system we have here, we started off with a wooden stake. As you can see, we started all the way over there with the wooden stake, but instead of moving a wooden stake every time and hammer it down into the ground, we thought this way was easier, where we tie the tape onto one sort of pigtail stake and then using another pigtail stake going up at an angle to support the one that's under pressure and to keep it pushed forward and to sort of tighten the tape itself. And you might be wondering, there's a very small gap there between the stake and this tape here, but this tape is always live, and when this one is on, I don't think the calves are going to bother too much because they already know what the tape is. They've got their lesson of what an electric tape is, so they know what it is and they're not going to really touch it. And then we just put the handle back up onto the electric fence. I'm going to have to put the camera down to do that, so I'll get back to you when I have the power going through the tape. Alright, so because that fence now is going out at an angle compared to this one, I kind of had to tighten up the fence here on the handle. I won't touch it because it's live, but I basically had to do that, otherwise there'd be a lot of slack in the fence, which is not what we want. So they seem all happy out there, as you can see. I'm going to go to the far end now and just check on the two pigtail stakes that are supposed to be keeping the fence up the far side, and see if it's on any any strain or whatever, because I did have to tighten the fence, but I don't know if I tightened it too much. So I want to make sure that down here is okay and that it doesn't, I don't know, fall down on the ground and leave all the tape shellac and stuff. Yeah, it seems to be this pigtail stake here will keep this one up. So yeah, that's fairly tight and fairly secure, and I'd be happy with that. So I believe that that won't fall over. So I'm happy with that. We can leave it at that. And now we might have to move this again in the evening. It started off when we were up at the wooden stake and moving it downwards. It started off we were only moving the fence maybe once a day and giving them a good yard. But then they started getting more sort of severe on the grass, and then we started to have to start moving it then twice a day. So there is a possibility that I might have to come back in the evening time and move it another yard or so. So if that's going to be the case, we'll see you then in the evening time for when we have to move it again, if we do have to move it again. But they have enough grass there to do them. They have that whole sort of strip there, and the cows tend to stick their heads out under the tape, and they can reach sort of grass that's the far side of the tape. So once they eat all this grass, we'll be moving them to a field what we call the shroy, which is basically just over the hill there. Just in that gateway there, that's the field they'll be moved to when they have all this grass out. And the reason that we are strip grazing them, well, to farmers it's obvious, it's sort of grassland management. And because that grass is awful long, you can kind of see there it's awful long, they'll probably trample most of it then eat it, because as you can see there, the new strip of grass right there, you can see some of it is flattened a small bit, but they'll still eat that to where it'll look like we've got bales off it. But yes, the slurry tanks were filling up probably January, February time, and the slurry was being underneath the slats, so we had to suck a few tanks out because the farm is basically over there. So this was the closest field to us, so we spread a couple of tanks of slurry on this during January, February time, which is why the grass is fairly good, I guess, and plentiful. So yeah, if the grass was sort of lower and not as high and tall as this, we probably would have let them out into the full field without having to strip graze them. But because the grass is awful high and we want to get the most out of our grass, and they're not trampling as much, when you're strip grazing it like this, they're actually eating more than they are trampling, as you can clearly see the results for yourself. But that's basically why we are strip grazing them, sort of just grassland management. They're getting more out of the grass and trampling less. And you might be wondering what we're doing with this one, because obviously that's the tape we're moving downwards, but then we have a tape here. Now, the initial plan was to start, once they ate all the grass over there, we'd start strip grazing them on this bit here, and then move them into the shroy. But the longer they're in the field, this grass has grown, because this obviously got slurry as well, and you can just see for yourself how high it is. So the plan is, it's not a whole lot, but the plan is to bale it. I don't know, are we going baling it in silage bales or the small square hay bales? But the new plan is to mow this, get it lying on the ground, and pick it up either in silage bales or hay bales. So we'll have the silage field, which we'll get anywhere between, if it's a good crop, we'll get anywhere between 110 to 120 bales. We have this, then we might get another 10 to 20 bales on that. And then there's another field where we have our Wainland heifers. But we're also sort of, well, it's not really strip grazing them really. We let them into half of the field, and then we left them there for about 2 or 3 weeks, and we just moved the fence up ever so slightly. But that's the end of moving that fence. We're not going moving that up anymore. But the field where the Wainland heifers are in, obviously they're curtailed off to only half of it, but it's the same situation as over there. There's a lot of grass in the area that they cannot get to, and we're going baling that as well, which will probably get another 10 to 20 bales on that as well. And plus, I don't know if you can see it through the trees, but we do have some bales left over. More than I was expecting actually, because they were housed until the middle of May anyways. They didn't get out to grass until the middle of May, so there was actually a video on the YouTube channel where I done calculations on how many bales we'd have at a certain time, and I think at June we'd have 40 something, the middle of June, you know, or May or something. But we have more bales than I thought we would, so that's a good thing, because we'll have last year's bales, some of last year's bales left over for the winter time, and then we'll have the newer bales. Again, whether or not we're going baling that for silage or hay, it's the same story over in the field with the Wainland heifers. I don't know if we're going baling it for silage or hay, but time will tell. We'll soon find out once the grass is lying on the ground and whatever baler is in the field baling it. Anyways, they're all happy out there eating the grass, so I'll go off now. We have silage bales to draw for a neighbour and farmer, and I don't know if I'm going to get footage of that, because I don't want to be invading this man's privacy when we're drawing in his fields and going into his farm. So whether or not you'll see a video of that, I don't know, but you will see silage videos in the near future when we're doing our own silage. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'll come back in the evening time to move this tape again, because we probably will have to move it again in the evening time. So yeah, I'll see you in the evening. 7 o'clock, and it's time to move the fence again. We've done it in the morning, and again we have to do it again in the evening because they're getting a bit severe. So I could hear them lewing, and that's one sign that they need the fence being moved. So still seems to be a little bit of slack in it, but when I move it down, I'm going to have to retie the handle, because it'll be way too loose where it is now. So I need to untie the handle and then sort of pull the tape again, and then tie it onto the handle, and then put it onto the wire, if you know what I mean. But this fence here, it's getting narrower for the tape, so I'm going to have to shorten the handle here. But first of all, we have to take it off the fence. The uncle came there to give me a hand, so I had to put the camera away, because he's another person that doesn't want to be videoed and then thrown up on YouTube. So they're slacking it in patches. but then when you go over to the far end, over in the corner, it's fairly tight. So it's perfect that end, but the problem is probably over at the far end where we have the two pigtail stakes. But obviously we can't put those two stakes touching that fence going across there, because that one is always live. We cannot really disconnect that. So you kind of have to keep it back small, but that you can actually go near it and touch it and do anything with it. But yeah, I don't really like to see any slack in it, but hopefully they won't bother with it. But I might try and tighten it up when I finish off the video. Yeah, but the uncle came, he gave me a hand. I had to put, oh, someone touched it there. I put the camera away, so we moved the fence then, and then we started talking up in the farmyard. So they have a lot of the grass eaten and stuff, but I'm not going moving it again. You can see that the wire or the tape here is tight, but the further down you go it starts to get slack. But that's the problem at the far end. So obviously here I had to untie the knot in the handle, sort of pull the fence as much to me as I could, and then retie it, because that fence is going out and it's going in at an angle. So every time I move the tape, I'll have to shorten the handle there. And now we'll have a quick look at the slack, but I don't think they'll bother with it because there's about 7,000 or 8,000 volts in it. So, and obviously you seen someone or one of them touch it there a minute ago and got a big shock. Yeah, you can see it slacking there, and the further up you go. Although it's not too awfully bad here. I thought the problem was here, because we cannot put these stakes here too close to this wire here, because that one is constantly live. So if I put it too near, when I touch them stakes, I could get a queer shock off them. But it's not too bad there. It's just a couple of areas between stakes in the middle where there's a bit of slack. I guess the only way to sort that out probably is to untie the handle and retie it again, and probably also untie it here and sort of pull it this way and tie it again and try and get the slack off it. So I might do that tomorrow morning when I'm moving it and see will it make a difference, because you can see there and there, and there's about 4 gaps there where there's a bit of slack, but hopefully they won't go near it anyways. You still have a load of grass here to eat, and obviously the bit of grass, oh, if I zoomed in too much, they still have a bit of grass here to eat, and the bit of grass where I moved the tape as well. So they still have plenty of grass to eat overnight. But that will be the end of today's video. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, please do give me a like, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, and turn on the bell notification icon to be notified of every future video. Don't forget to check out my merch. The link to that will be in the description, and check out the gate mate as well. The link to that will also be in the description. So that is it for me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. Take care.